Okay, welcome. Today I want to offer a little reflection about men and violence, and in particular, just about how we affect others as men, and just some things we can do about this anger, this rage, which comes across as violence, what we can actually do to start to shift this around. So, enjoy. Okay, so this is my favourite time of the year, out on the moors here. Curlews have just arrived back from the coast, and I've got snow on the ground over there, but I'm out here on my bare feet because I find that just by being outside really helps to ground me. And I noticed in my own life there have been times when I've really felt that violence. And in my 20s I used to go off to my football team was Portsmouth, and I used to go off and be very loud and vocal and quite aggressive. This violence, it was quite intimidating, and certainly the way I used to cope with people, keeping people away from me, protecting myself, was to give off this air of violence, to give off this air of don't mess with me. And so it meant that people in my company didn't feel very comfortable. People felt ill at ease, and the reason I really wanted to give this talk today was partly because over the last few years I've seen a few videos from different kind of relationship men's kind of coaches, and them doing this exercise where they've got a group of people. One of them was Tony Robbins, and he said, I want everybody here in the room who's a woman to put up their hand if they felt fearful for their life over the last month. And about 95% of the room put their hands up. Then he says, I want every man here who has felt for their life in the last month, felt frightened, to put their hand up as well. And out of, I think there were probably 2,000 people in the room, he estimated, out of 1,000 men, 3 men put their hand up. And this is something as men that we're just totally oblivious to. That women, especially our partners and the women in our lives, women in general, feel this fear on a day-to-day basis. I remember one time walking down in the town, walking from one part of the town to another, and we're walking along by the river, and it was at night, and we were with this lady who's in her 70s, possibly 80s, and I was with this other guy, and I said to the lady, oh, do you want to walk with us? And she said, no, I want to walk on my own, because I do not feel safe that I can walk along this stretch at night time on my own. But she said, with having you two here, both of us were martial artists, she says, I feel totally safe. So she walked 50 meters behind us, and she says it was wonderful. And so that really kind of made me feel that we have this thing with men that we just are not aware of. That we can go to different places, but we feel kind of safe, whereas women often don't. And I think it was Robert Moore, the psychologist, the Jungian analyst. He once said that if you go to any part of the world, the crimes are generally perpetrated, the street crimes, things like that, are by young men. And so I think for me this is quite upsetting, that we have this situation where women in general don't feel safe. There might be people who are. I mean, this was just an example. I've seen a few workshops where the women have put their hands up saying, yeah, I don't feel safe. I've not felt safe in the last month. This might not be for everyone. But I think it's just something for us as men to bring into awareness that, right, this is something that I'm, that I need to just be aware that actually I need to be here as a protector. And this kind of comes into the archetypes, this idea that protecting others rather than being in my rage like I was, totally unaware that I was giving off this, don't mess with me. But I was giving off this message to the women as well, just stay away. So I was probably quite frightening to be around. And also there's this situation a few weeks ago in Australia where this man, he killed his wife and his children. And it's like this violence, this rage that we carry. And so it's really important, if this is a man listening to this, is for you to take full responsibility for this. And how do you do this? So for me, it is to take responsibility that, there might be that violence within me. We have been, through thousands of years, the men have been the ones who've gone out and hunted. We've gone to war. It's like, and we don't have that. So we still have that almost genetic makeup that we're meant to move, and yet we don't. And so it builds and it builds. So I feel for us as men, it's really important that we channel this. One, I feel we have to have a daily practice to really cultivate that inner strength that, like Robert Moore talks about, the grail, the inner crucible. We have to cultivate that cup. He said that when we're boys, we have this cup which is being sculpted to becoming a man. But because we don't get guided, it becomes cracked. And therefore, that violence can seep out because we don't have a strong container. And therefore, as men, it is imperative that we do that inner practice, that inner work. So for me, I got up it was about 6 o'clock this morning, and I've just done 3 hours of practice. So meditation, yoga, exercise, cold bath, breath work. It's like, to get myself fully present, to create that container. So I think that's the first thing for men, to channel this, to deal with this violence, is to have a daily practice. Second thing is really to be around other men, to spend time, like benevolent men, whether that's men's groups or you're going off to a workshop, the Mankind Project. It's doing that work where you're challenging yourself and having other men going, hey, I meet you, let's do this work and let's kind of sort this out. What I love about the Mankind Project is if I have a charge with someone, meaning I feel angry or they've said something, I can then go, okay, brother, I admit that I have this charge, but I'd like to speak about it. And they're, in most cases, open to receiving, because it's not about them, it's about my violence, it's about my anger within myself. I have to take full responsibility for that. So I have made a few notes of things to do. The other thing is, and channeling it for me is like making stuff. It's like, if you look around this garden, I've made this gate out of a pallet. Over here there's a garden, a couple of days ago I finished making a wood store. It's like feeling that energy, that power, and then channeling it into something creative, rather than just letting it build, and then it explodes. It's like, no, channel it, work out, do a martial art, meet that part of you in a benevolent way, so you have that safe container. So when you are triggered, as we are, we are tired, then we can, I can hold this space. I'm not going to react. I'm not going to explode. I'm going to really take care of this. So I think that is, and the other thing really for me is, like, as I've mentioned many times in my videos, and I'll put a link on the end of this, about anger, is that when you're feeling this, it's like, just to give space. Okay, I feel anger. And breathe. You breathe in. This is what I'm feeling. Breathing out, I'm taking good care of this feeling. Breathing in. This is what I'm feeling. Breathing out. I'm taking good care of this feeling. Breathing in. This is what I'm feeling. Breathing out. I'm taking good care of this feeling, and just letting this 5, 10 minutes, 20 minutes feel this, so it transmutes. And I find just walking back and forth and I have to move because my feet are starting to freeze here on this cold earth. Yeah, I'm going to stop there. So yeah, really, it's really important for you, if you're a man listening to this, you're a woman, please forward this to men. Share it with men. You know, I think it's really important for us to see the effect we have and the responsibility we have to first do some practice, you know, spend time with other men, channel it, you know, and really transmute this. And the fourth thing is really facing it, breathing through it. So enjoy. Please comment below. Please share. If you like this, please do like it as well. So yeah, thank you very much. Have an amazing week. And if you have questions or any topics you'd like me to talk about, please do. Okay.